All right, this is the Metal Inquisition for those who are just turning in on EastVillageRadio.com. We have a very special guest this evening, Mr. Rob Halford of Judas Priest. In here, we just listened to a track from the new album, Undisputed. The album's called Made of Metal. So who is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world?
It's heavy metal music. It's not about... Well, it is a bit about boxing, you know, because that's... When I'm always looking around and trying to see if I can find a story that I can use as a lyricist that has a connection to the metal world. So I'm a big sports fan, you know, and I watch MMA and UFC, and I see these guys beating the crap out of each other, and it's a bit like a metal show on a Friday night or a Saturday night. That's not true. There's a little bit of element of that. That's called the pit. That's where people mosh. But I see that and I'm like, you know, there's a story here because it's got the same ingredients to what you do when you're in a band. If you're in a band, you've got to believe in each other. You've got to believe in the music. You've really got to be intense about what you want to try and do and be. And you've got to be really dedicated, and you've got to be able to take all the crap that you got to deal with. So that really was the inspiration from watching those events on television. So to me, when I'm singing the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, that's heavy metal music. Yeah.
Right. Did you? I also wanted to ask if you wrote the instrumental parts to the Halford stuff,
or do you just mostly lyrics? Or
I leave that to the guys. Uh-huh. Yeah, I did write a number of these songs as a solo writer for the first time. For a long time I hadn't done that because I generally like to kind of bounce off other musicians when we're writing, but you know, again, if you've got it in you and you just feel like you've got something that's pretty good and that's going to be useful and valuable, you just, you know, collect your ideas. So that's what I do, and I do it in a really primitive way. And as being a singer, a lot of the work that I do is just, you know, doing scratch vocals. So wherever I go, I've got my iPhone with me, and there's a program here, which is that little microphone. Mm-hmm. And if I press record, I can just start doing scratch vocals in there. And sometimes it's really funny because it's a bit like, because I'm a big Cheech and Chong fan, you know, and I'll, you know, where he goes da 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 da, you know, that kind of thing. So I'll actually do the guitar riffs like da 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 da. It's really like a kid, but that's all you really need to do as a musician. You know, you don't have to be competent as a songwriter, because a lot of songs come from very, very simple beginnings, you know, like the Beatles, She Loves You, yeah. Well, you write that, well, what does that mean? But when you put the melody and the hook to it, man, it's just mind-blowing. So that's what I was doing for some of these songs on Made of Metal. But I'm the world's worst guitar player, but I can get a riff down. But mostly because of my great friendship with Roy Z, who's one of the guitar players with the Halford band, along with Metal Mike Classic from Jersey, Bobby Joe Zombek on drums, and Mike Davis on bass. Those guys know me well enough, so I give all the raw data to Roy. And because he's so great at what he does, he can just really piece it together, and that's how a lot of the songs were made for this record.
The music on the record is really diverse. Like there's "Till the Day I Die" track.
Yeah,
there's like some steel guitar.
Yeah, it was Roy put really that cool on. I mean, he he's like, "Hey, Metal God, I got this idea. I don't know what do you think? You know, maybe should we put some steel guitar?" I say, "See, that's absolutely perfect," because that song to me is the real kind of connection to the roots of everything in rock and roll, which is the blues. You know, people like Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Bessie Smith. You know, the real guts of everything in rock and roll comes from the blues in America. And when I first started to listen to music, when, you know, as you're growing up, you know, there comes a time in your life when music is your only friend, because you hate your mum and dad and your brothers and sisters. You hate everybody at school. The only friend you've got is your music, you know. That's the only thing that's talking to you. And for me, that's how it was with the blues for a while. So I've always carried that with me. And so I just wanted to pay a little respect to the blues. And the message is pretty straightforward. I ain't got time for, anything else. I don't believe in regrets. I mean, I just don't. I'm not a backwards thinking person. I'm always thinking about now and what's great to be done next. So the idea for me is just to keep doing it until the day I die.
You just released a video as well for the Made of Metal title track. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Made of Metal thing, much like the boxing with the NASCAR. Yeah. I saw the metal spirit in NASCAR.
Yeah,
and that's how that thing. I mean, I think this is musicians listening to us talk. When you're a musician, your ideas come from really bizarre places, and they can come. You can be sleeping, and you'll be dreaming about a song. You'll wake up, and you have to quickly put it down. Like that's just the way your brain works. And one day, for whatever reason, I got this thing, Supersonic Silver Flying Machine. Like, where the fuck did that come from? What does that mean? Supersonic. Why is that? And so I jot it down so I don't forget, because being an old man, I forget a lot of things. And then, like a few days later, I was watching some NASCAR on TV, and I thought, oh, maybe I've just had like a bit of a premonition, because those guys are in these machines, and it's like they're flying around the track. So that was basically how the song came together. And then the more we talked within the band and this little label that we've got called Metal God Records, we thought let's go for this as the lead track, the title track, and let's try and put a video piece together. And I don't like looking at myself on video. You've got all these videos going on behind me now.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand looking at myself on videos. I hate it. But so I said, I don't want to be in this. Let's do something different. So the idea was to make an animation. And it's cool, you've got this kind of crazy creature that comes from another place and lands on the racetrack. And to me, the racetrack is life, and he's the metalhead, and he gets pushed around and, nudged off the track, but he gets back on, and then he wins, and I love that kind of empathy with that heavy metal attitude. So that's pretty much how that whole piece came together.
Kind of reminds me of the Free Will Burning video in a way, in a sense.
Exactly. Well, again, maybe that's it. Until you've mentioned that, I've never really thought about it, but there is a connection there. Yeah. There's probably some kind of conscious stream back to when that happened. It's great watching that Free Will burn. I haven't seen it for years and years and years, but I can instantly remember the kid that was in that playing the video game. Really early primitive video games, because
it's like F-10 or
I remember the first video games I ever played was Pong. I'd go down my local pub, and it was like a screen that was flat, black with like a white stripe down the middle, and then two little things that you the paddle, and you used to like knock a little white blob from one side to the other. That was the first ever video game, And then of course I bought the Atari stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I can't play that stuff now because it's become so amazingly
it's like virtual
advanced. You don't know what's real and what's not,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, I love it. I love to watch it. And I was involved in that Brutal Legend thing with Jack Black a couple of years ago. That was a lot of fun to do, being a voice character for a couple of those people in that. But yeah, it's it all connects one way or the other.
Should we play another track off the new album?
Sure, yeah.
I think so.
Great.
All right, this is Till the Day I Die right here.